Hello everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's MTPredictor video, I'd like to have a look at our Elliott Wave Tool, and in particular look at an example on the EURGBP. But as usual, we start with our risk disclaimer and remind you that all examples in these videos should be considered as hypothetical. No trades are actually taken, they're just shown for illustration and training purposes only. Also remind you there's a risk of loss in trading and investing. Put another way, all professional traders know and understand, but more importantly accept that losses can and will and do unfold. That's important to understand. That always will be losing trades no matter what strategy or approach you use to the markets. Right, let's have a look at the EURGBP. So for this I want to show you our MTPredictor Elliott Wave Tool, and this uses my unique isolation approach to Elliott Wave, and it's very easy to place on the chart. So I want to have a look at what the Elliott Wave pattern would have been going up into this particular high here. So I want to right mouse click, and then I'll come down and do Elliott Wave Intermediate, and as you can see it found a nice 5-wave sequence going up into the high there. The important points with a wave 5 is first and foremost the sequence must start an important pivot, not halfway down a trend, i.e. mid-trend or anything like that. We want to see a good start of the Elliott Wave sequence. As you can see there, it started at the end of a decline down, so it started at a logical pivot, which is very good indeed. And also, particularly with a wave 5 sequence, we don't want to do anything unless it is unfolding at higher time frame support or resistance, because trying to catch the end of a wave 5 is like standing in front of a train. It's a trend termination pattern and can be very dangerous indeed. So as per normal, let's go out to the higher time frame chart. For here I'll go out to the daily chart, and for this then we can place the higher time frame DP support and resistances on. You can see here's the last swing into the low. This is what we tend to use. There's the low there. This is the last swing into the low. So you've gone back to this particular high here. Right mouse click, we place our DP on. And remember, these are on the chart in advance. So this would have been a resistance area on the chart all the way through this rally coming up here. So let's see what difference this now looks when we come back down to our shorter time frame, the 4-hourly chart, where we're looking at our 5-wave sequence. Do you suddenly see how this suddenly becomes very different? Remember, I'm not looking at our VS and DP automatic setups. I'm just looking at our Elliott Wave patterns here. Do you suddenly see how this wave 5 here suddenly looks more appealing? Because it's unfolding at higher time frame resistance. This is the trick to using Elliott Wave in isolation. Over my 30 years experience, I've found that the reason I believe Elliott Wave doesn't work as well as it could do is because basically markets go through cycles. In other words, about 50% of the time or slightly more they're random. So of course it's very hard to place an Elliott Wave count on the chart. So this is why I developed my unique isolation approach, where I just look at the patterns in isolation. And in particular here for a wave 5, we look at it in isolation for unfolding, or the end of the wave 5 unfolding, not only at our WPT or wave price target resistance areas, which you can see here. This is the minimum wave 5 and this is the typical wave 5, but also unfolding at higher time frame support or resistance. So how can we make use of this? Well, I just want to go back to that wave 5 high there. There's two things we can do on a wave 5. First and foremost, once a wave 5 high or low has been completed, the initial target is the DP from the prior wave 4. So right mouse click, do decision point, this is the initial target. We do our manual risk reward in and around this, around our red cell bar, and as you can see, the initial target down here would be a potential 2.2R profit. If the trade goes wrong, and as I said at the start, there always will be losing trades. Remember, I'm not looking at our automatic setups here. This would have been a good automatic DP sell at higher time frame resistance on a red stroke black MTP trend, but I'm just looking at the wave 5 pattern. So if the trade goes wrong, position sizing keeps the losses small, and this would be a 1-hour loss. If it goes right, then the potential profit will be plus 2.2R, or just over 2 times the initial risk. Let's step forward. And as you can see, the market did actually indeed reach this level here. The next thing we know about a 5-wave sequence is that's basically the initial target, or the first minor target. If this is exceeded, if I go forward, we've now gone significantly below this particular level here. Then the next target is the DP from the start of the sequence. In other words, if the DP from the prior wave 4 is exceeded, then the market is usually going to wipe out the entire prior 5-wave sequence. We go right back to this start here, right back to this pivot here, which is the start of the sequence, right mouse click, place the DP on. This would be the next target. Let's grab and drag the risk reward. So this would be our next target down here. If I turn training mode off, you can see this is what's unfolding at the moment with the EURGBP continuing to decline nicely. You see it's making a nice sharp down bar here, and would wait and see to see whether it gets down into this higher time frame, or so this next DP target here. So that's what we do with our Elliott Wave tools in MTPredictor, and in particularly for the end of a 5-wave sequence. Remember, catching the end of a 5-wave sequence is a trend termination pattern, so it's very risky, and we only look to do this if we are looking or if we're unfolding at a higher time frame support and resistance. So we're not just looking at the end of a wave 5 at our WPT clusters or wave price targets clusters, but also looking for this to unfold at higher time frame support and resistance. Here the daily resistance as well. Then the initial target of a completed 5-wave sequence is the DP from the wave 4, but obviously this is just an initial target. The next target down, if this one is exceeded, would be the DP from the start of the 5-wave sequence. And actually, if we go out to the higher time frame chart as well, go back out to the daily, this DP zone here would be the same as our daily DP here. You can see there's the last swing up into the high on the daily time frame, so this one would also be the larger degree support zone as well. You can see there's our daily DP coinciding with our DP off the start of the 5-wave sequence. So an example of how Elliott wave patterns are used in MTPredictor, where we use them in isolation. In other words, we're only looking to uncover potential trade setups where the pattern is used in isolation. A couple of things to manually check. First of all, if you are doing a 5-wave sequence, that it starts at a logical point. In other words, it doesn't start mid-trend. It has to start at a major pivot, as you can see here, and then for the end of a wave 5, it has to unfold at higher time frame support and resistance. And obviously, it's not just the 5-wave pattern available in MTPredictor. We can find all the main Elliott wave patterns as well. There's one other thing as well, is that that's all well and good finding that in as it unfolds, but I know some of you will say, what happens if the market's here? Can we project an area of where potential wave 5 is likely to unfold, or any other parts of the sequence? We can. We have our wave price tools. So here I'm going to put on the chart where potential wave 5 high could unfold. This takes a series of clicks on the chart. So this is like manual Elliott wave counting. I'm just clicking on the chart as we go through here. And as you can see, this will place your manual counts on the chart, and again would give you your potential targets there in advance. So you would have this on the chart in advance. You'll see that both these unfold at potential higher time frame resistance, so you can be ready for a potential high unfolding up in these areas here. And as you can see, that's exactly what happened with the wave 5 high coming in there. So two ways to use this. Looking at, if I clear everything off, looking at the bar as it unfolds at the time to place your sequences on, or basically you can project them in advance using our wave price target tool. So let's see how this unfolds and see whether the EURGBP does keep on going down and does reach this higher time frame support zone down here over the next few hours. Thanks very much, everybody.